Welcome to Elevating Job Quality, a podcast from the Aspen Institute's Economic Opportunities Program. Today we're taking you inside a dialogue from the Shared Success Project, exploring how CDFIs, or Community Development Financial Institutions, can help their small business clients create good jobs so that workers, business owners, and local economies all thrive. Coming up, a conversation about job quality and capital. Maureen Conway, Executive Director of the Aspen Institute's Economic Opportunities Program, speaks with Viola Mai, Development Director of the ICA Fund, and Robert Anderson, Business Navigation Director with the Colorado Enterprise Fund.
So welcome, Viola and Robert. It's great to see you and glad that you could join us for our discussion on small business and job quality. And in particular, we're talking today about the connection between job quality and investing in lending and your experience doing that. And Viola, I'm just gonna jump right in and start with you. Why do you think lenders and investors should care about job quality?
So it's really important, I think, to think about job quality because anyone, when you're doing an investment, you're thinking about the success of the investment, right? And with ICA Fund, we're specifically a venture capital and equity lender, but this really applies to all investors. When you are thinking about doing an investment in a project, specifically a small business, you want that to succeed. And what does that look like? It looks like the project is doing what it needs to do. It's not getting stuck by, roadblocks, different things like people leaving the project. So that's why job quality and having good jobs, having well-paying jobs helps the project succeed in the long run. So the business succeed in the long run. And so for an investor like us, it means that the business is growing, that we're getting more jobs created in a community. And for a lender, it means getting repaid, right? There's income coming into the business so that you're going to get back your principal.
Great. Robert, how do you think about it in the work that you do in Colorado?
Very similar to what Viola said. At Colorado Enterprise Fund, we serve the whole state. And similarly, the success of the businesses matters paramount to us because we number one, have a mission to help businesses succeed. And number two, we want to pay back. But it turns out that when businesses pay their employees a living wage and give them benefits, the business is stronger. And the program has helped us to understand how to help our customers see that this is an investment in their people, not just a cost. And so stronger businesses is what it's about. And so quality jobs helps.
Yeah. So that's great. And I really appreciate how you both frame it as an investment and strengthening. And yet I think that many people think that it's just a cost, right? Too often we sort of frame payroll as a cost, an expense that you're trying to manage, right? And particularly for smaller businesses, right? I think people think, oh, small businesses, they just can't afford to do that. So how do you respond, to other sort of lenders and capital advisors who may be thinking, I don't know if you want to encourage people to invest in this way because maybe they won't pay you back. How do you respond to that?
Well, working with loan officers at Colorado Enterprise Fund, this topic comes up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been proselytizing them whenever I can, on the topics so that they see that it's not just a cost. In business school, they teach that people costs are costs like rent. And the idea is to negotiate, minimize the cost. But that is absolutely the wrong way to look at investing in people.
So I'm going to get a little bit theoretical for a minute. And I really think about cost benefit analysis and how that's still a model to try and fit the real world into some easy buckets. And so when we're thinking about cost, that's just a way for us to fit a lot of different variables into an easy model. But really, by doing this model, we're not thinking about all the other factors. So for instance, the cost of wages is not also considering the additional benefit of that household having, higher wage means that household has more income they can spend into the local economy and just keep that cycle going. But we don't capture that when we're just looking at cost benefit analysis. So I think it really is important for all of us, not just capital providers, but just like all of us trying to work on our local economies and society to think about, well, what are the other additional impacts and benefits that are tied to this cost? Because it's not just this one-time cost. There's also all these other unspoken benefits that come with, providing employees with health insurance or providing childcare or a living wage. So I really encourage folks to think about, especially if you are trying to improve your local economy or national economy, like what are all the other outsized benefits that aren't getting captured by the simple line on the accounting ledger saying salary?
Yeah. I love that you both sort of talk about how this is a benefit to your regional economy, as well as, a stabilizer for the business, right? If they don't have people to do the jobs, then the jobs don't get done. That's not very good business, right? So, and I'm wondering if you have an example of a business that you've worked with that you can just sort of describe a little how, sort of retaining their workers and investing in them and engaging them has been good for their business and sort of built what my sort of friend Saint Khan will describe as like this virtuous circle of, of investing in job quality and improving the business success at the same time.
I can talk about one in Northern Colorado. There's a business called Top Notch Plumbing that could have been an example in Ms. Tan's book. The owner, when I first met him, said, well, when I start adding employees, I want to treat them far better than I was ever treated. And he very quickly understood that paying a living wage and benefits when he was able to grow into providing those is the first step. But then also he has to run the business to take advantage of good people so that he doesn't have to make all the decisions. This is a plumbing contractor. It can push those decisions down into the staff, and then they can make decisions to save costs, to help the cost of sales on projects stay low enough so that the business makes enough money to be successful. He kind of got that already, but the program helped him see it more deeply.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm also thinking about ICA's. So ICA Fund, we're a VC CDFI, but we also operate a really intensive business accelerator program, which is how we provide the technical assistance to get companies ready to take equity investment. And actually, when you look at the spectrum of the clients that we work with, the vast majority of companies aren't ready yet to, have a health benefits plan, have a retirement plan. But what we try and do is really try and get those entrepreneurs to see the benefit of it. So an example of one entrepreneur who went through our accelerator and was just like not into the job quality stuff at all. Well, he operates a gluten-free baking company, and it wasn't until months after doing the programming where he was like, oh my God, like this is so important because I get people who can stay on and help me become thought collaborators. I don't have to be a sole operator and owner and strategist of my organization if I have quality jobs that get people to stay with me. So that's the kind of thinking we're trying to incubate at ICA to help people, really have quality jobs that support the local economy. And beyond that, like our hope is that these companies grow, coast to coast, that they're thinking about the legacy that they're creating and really trying to create something that'll be lasting and effective for the goals they want to reach.
Yeah, great. And that is a perfect answer to segue to kind of the next thing. We talked about the why of this, but I wanted to start talking a little bit about the how and how you implement this and how you think about job quality in your organization. So, Bill, maybe I'll stick with you for a little bit. Maybe you could talk about what are the dimensions of job quality that you look at ICA when you're working with a business. How do you think about that? And maybe you could also mention some of the tools that you use in trying to assess progress.
Absolutely. And since ICA was started in 1996, we've all been about how do you help companies, small businesses that are they're just so concerned about like making payroll. Do I have enough inventory to last the end of the week? How do you go from thinking like that to thinking, how do I scale? How do I franchise? How do I, create a lasting legacy? And over the years, we've developed two tools. One is called the GEM, the Good Employer Matrix. And that really is just a scorecard to help companies kind of see where they are on the spectrum of offering a quality job and what steps they could take to move along that path. And right now we have three primary categories. One is health and wealth. So what are you paying? How does that compare to minimum wage? How does that compare to living wage? Are you offering health insurance plans? Do you have retirement savings plans? So versus health and wealth. The second is equity ownership. So we are a venture capital institution. So we're really thinking about, how does this move on? We're not just thinking about getting repaid, but how does this grow and really create value, not just for us, the investor, but also for the community and the entrepreneur. So in that, we really value equity ownership. And that means, how is the business owner passing on profits to their employees? So do they have a profit sharing plan? Do they have, and this is actually something a little bit new, but employee ownership, like, is there a path to passing on ownership to a different model? And then lastly, we think a lot about company culture. So we don't necessarily say like, you have to have diverse management, but it's more, is your management team representative of your community? If you are serving a primarily Latino community, how many of the folks making decisions in your organization are Latino? So is there, that commensurate representation? So that's the GEM. And then we also have the ICA Impact Note, which is a tool for investing. So what it does is it just incorporates those three categories into the vehicle investment note. And we actually have a thing where if the company meets some of those metrics, we pay back equity ownership. So it's a way to incentivize investors and align their incentives with small business owners to make sure that we're all contributing to quality job creation.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Robert, you have a little bit of a different kind of an organization. So maybe you can talk about what job quality, elements you all focus on and the kinds of tools and things that you do to enhance.
The definition of small business covers a big spectrum. And I think the customers that we work with are earlier in their trajectory. Many so-called mom and pops with a family, maybe just the husband and wife in the business. Maybe they're hiring their first employee, but a second employee. And so earlier in their progress, the concerns are different. The approach we take is we have a quality jobs assessment similar to what you all have. And we put our participant 101 with a member of our navigator team to just think about where that business is on that quality jobs assessment. And
can you characterize the assessment a little, like what it's on? Yeah.
Well, it's kind of similar, I think, to what we just heard. Pay, benefits, schedule, inclusion in decision making are some of the big topics. And of course, many of the people realize working with their navigator that they have not accomplished much toward the ideal of providing ideal quality jobs. And we let them just be. We help them understand that wherever they are in the trajectory toward quality jobs is fine where it is, as long as they are making some decisions to change. And we help them set their goals about the change they want to make in the upcoming year. And these are modest changes, but they're not modest to them. They're very important to them. And sometimes it's regards pay, sometimes it regards benefits. All these business owners want to provide good pay and benefits, and they have to do that slowly because they have to make operational changes using good people to kind of pave the way through profits. It's a circular thing. So they might begin with schedule equity. Wherever they begin, we help them make progress. You reward them, then we help them make the next step.
Yeah, great. I'm curious. I have a couple of questions, but one, I'm curious, like, if do you use any kinds of incentives to help the business owners sort of make changes towards job quality, and what kinds of strategies you've tried out and what's worked for you?
We've been using the funds that came through our grant with Aspen Institute to provide incentives, and these are modest incentives, $2,000-$3,000, and it doesn't really help them fund whatever changes they're making. It's more just a carrot. And we would like to provide more, but that's what we're able to do right now. And it does work because as soon as, this is the third year of our program, and as soon as businesses start making changes towards the quality jobs goal, they continue to make more. And they tend to be able to fund more because of operational excellence that they're engaging in. So that's the way we incentivize.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, and I just want to kind of loop back to something Rob said that I think is really important, in that everyone is starting from a different place. Like, when ICA Fund, we look at our companies, we're not saying you have to make it to this place, like you're paying living wage to all your workers by 3 years. We know that's not realistic. Like, the economy keeps changing. Small business owners are under more pressure than ever. And I think, like what Rob said, is so important. Like, we are giving grace and helping people make, steps that make sense at a time. And also, like Rob said, sometimes these kind of flow together. Like, if an employer starts offering a healthcare plan, it's easy to add on the vision, the dental, the childcare. So I just want to make sure that we honor that we're not having companies move immediately to, you're going to have, retirement savings plan for all of your employees. But like, how do you make those incremental steps to get there? Mm-hmm. And also that's a lot about what we think about with our incentive funding. So we also received an amazing pass-through grant from Aspen to help do some of this work to help entrepreneurs kind of look at, if I want to offer a retirement savings plan to all of my employees, what does that actually cost? What does that cost in the long run? But we're really looking at other plans like professional development right now. So for instance, we have a company, Bold Construction. They do building retrofits and construction in the Bay Area. And they were looking at their staff and realizing there's so much potential to make a more high quality job if we do some more tailored professional development, specifically with workplace safety. And so they wanted to do it, but they really didn't have the cash on hand to implement that kind of plan, at the time that we were talking to them about a year and a half ago. And so actually we were able to give them startup funding of $10,000 through the pass-through funds to help them build that curriculum. And now they've made it, and they're helping upskill their employees, who then, are able to really contribute to better workplaces, more safe workplaces, especially in construction, which is a high risk job. And we really think that's so incredible. Like, here's the startup cost, that we're helping advance. It would have taken them, a year, maybe more, to find that extra income to fund that program. And yet they're able to do it a little bit earlier and start upskilling their employees earlier.
Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, this work, I really appreciate the work that you do. It's great. And I know that it's sometimes hard and there's lots of challenges you run into. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give to other organizations that want to try to build this kind of work into their lending or investing? What advice would you give as they're sort of starting out? And Viola, you're nodding, so I'll let you start.
Well, Robert and I think about our organizations and the reason why we exist. And we are community development financial institutions. So we were created to fill a certain gap to help our, local economies grow and thrive. And really, I think about that. Investors may not have an explicit, social impact goal at mind, but they're kind of helping that by deploying cash, deploying investment to different projects that need to be done. So I do encourage folks to think about that. Like, it is important for us to think about job quality and to start that job quality work because we want to build a better future overall. The other thing I would really, really recommend, and this is ICA Fund's ethos, really, all of our programming was created because we exercise this a lot, but we listen to our clients. We listen to them and we, respond to what they're asking for and what they want. So to start building a job quality program, I think just start by listening to what your, local constituents are asking for, because not all things are equal. Like in our geography here in the Bay, for ICA Fund, which is based in the San Francisco Bay Area, specifically Oakland, a lot of clients are struggling with hiring. So how do they get that part-time hiring? So, when we listen to that and we hear that, we respond to that. So we really think about, okay, when we're thinking about our job quality program, let's focus on coaching entrepreneurs on how to source, how to hire for the long run. So my advice is really listen to the folks that you're trying to work with.
Michael?
I agree with everything. I want to speak a little more philosophically. There's a recognition that in the United States we have a shrinking middle class, and there's a reason. People who go to business school, run larger businesses, are taught, like I said before, to treat all costs as something to be managed and minimized, including personnel costs. More enlightened business owners, of course, see it differently. But small business owners, even though they often don't even go to college, they are influenced by the opinions of bigger businesses because they read. And they get the idea also that they're going to pay the least they can, minimum wage, and that's the right way to run their business. But it's so important for other lenders to understand that when they're working with their customers, they have this opportunity to change our economy. Our economy depends on a strong middle class. And a strong middle class depends on people who work at a living wage and who can provide good leadership for their business, not just be a cost, but help the leaders of that business have better products, better services. And the cycle becomes a positive cycle when the right investment is made and when the leaders see the vision of using people to have a stronger business because the people are stronger. So a little philosophical, but we have to think about this in order to succeed with quality jobs.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Robert. I appreciate that. And I think a philosophical ending is the perfect place to end. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Viola, for joining us today. Really grateful for the work that you both do in the community.
That was Viola Mai, Development Director of the ICA Fund, and Robert Anderson, Business Navigation Director with the Colorado Enterprise Fund, in conversation with Maureen Conway, Executive Director of the Aspen Institute's Economic Opportunities Program. If you enjoyed this episode of Elevating Job Quality, please subscribe or share this conversation. The Shared Success demonstration is managed by the Aspen Institute's Economic Opportunities Program and supported by a 4-year investment from the Gates Foundation. See as.pn/shared success to learn more. Views expressed here are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect positions or policies of the foundation.